Welcome to the Black Psychologist Podcast, presented by the Black Psychologist Network, and welcome to the Let's Get Some Perspective. See, I've been out too long. Let's Get Some Perspective edition, where we react and analyze viral vids and news that are making their way across the news cycle. I am one half of your humble and gracious host, Dr. Kyle Osborne. He is I, and I am him. And you all know, of course, that I'm never flying this aircraft by myself. I have the one and only, my friend, my brother, my brethren. He is the uncorruptible, the unflappable Dr. Jason Coleman. What is going on, good brother?
What's going on, bro? Happy holidays, man.
Holidays, brother.
Just relaxing, long day, long week, but we blessed to be working, man. So good to be back. Just want to, wish happy holidays to your family, and just want to thank everybody who takes the time to listen. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother. Well wishes and happy holidays to you and yours. You doing anything, man? You got any plans for the holiday?
Just the regular, we're gonna make the rounds, run around with the family. I was talking to somebody at work today, man. Like, I finished my Christmas shopping probably 2 weeks ago because I shop online. You know what I mean?
This guy is innovative and he's proactive, everybody.
I shop online, man, and my mother, she wants cold hard cash, so she makes it easy for me. So other than that, because she be going on trips, man, she want her spending money. So other than that, I'm good. I just, make my orders from my phone, and I'm good. How about you?
She on that Randy Moss straight cash, homie.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I still got a couple folks I got to grab some things for. Baby girl, she comes home this weekend. Was up there hanging out with her last weekend. So she'll be back. She got finals this week. So
okay.
It's back. She wants something rather. I don't know. Got to go with her to the mall. I think she wants to get like perfume or something like that, brother. I don't know.
All right, you got to come through, man.
Hey, hey, man, listen. Got to be good for something.
Yeah, you got it, man. Don't worry about it. You got it. Taking care of business, But it's good to be back, though, bro. I see you got the hoodie on, so,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cammy's Closet, everybody. Again, that is the nonprofit with me and my partner that we provide free essential clothing to those in need and those, especially the homeless population that's out here in the Philadelphia area. Cammy's Closet with a Kamis closet.org. Cammy's Community Closet. Check us out, man. We are absolutely out. We're working with different organizations, the hospitals, and individual families to provide clothing, to brand new clothing. I want to highlight to those in need. So that's what we're about.
Yeah, man. Well, just want to give you some encouragement, man, because I see what you're doing on, on Instagram and everything, man. So that's what's up. Keep it going, bro.
Appreciate it.
What we got for today?
And speaking of those in need, man, it has been a rough 30 or so days for a few high-profile celebrities. And I feel like as soon as like the holidays come around and we take a couple weeks off, the news cycle revs up, man. So that's my conspiracy brain, and that's the story that I'm coming up with. That as soon as we take some time off, things want to start popping off, so we were not able to talk about it. But I'm happy we were able to kind of let the news cycle kind of run and we gain more information before kind of going on and talking about it. But it's been some high-profile figures that have had some pretty tough couple of months. So let me go let this thing air real quick.
It was a stunning lawsuit against hip-hop icon Sean Diddy Combs, triggering headlines earlier this month.
Now the allegations against Sean Diddy Combs, the rapper and music mogul, is accused of sexual assault.
His former girlfriend, R&B singer Cassie, demanding $30 million over allegations of rape, abuse, even sex trafficking.
When the headlines came out about Diddy, just the amount of information and detail and allegations were jaw-dropping, to say the least.
Cassie, Sean on the right. Sean, a quick solo.
But it was just one of an avalanche of lawsuits, many hitting high-profile men, thanks to New York State's groundbreaking sexual assault statute. Combs settling out of court the very next day. His legal team later saying in a statement to ABC News, Mr. Combs' decision to settle the lawsuit does not in any way undermine his flat-out denial of the claims. He is happy they got to a mutual settlement and wishes Ms. Ventura the best.
This is not an admission of guilt. This could just be the cost of doing business, that he wants to settle and move on even though these allegations are false, or they're true. And he doesn't want to go through the discovery process, and so it's better to settle and move on than to go through the loss, not only financially, but also in the court of public opinion.
And as the deadline for New York's adult survivors law was set to expire, two other women suing Combs. Others suing actor Jamie Foxx, Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and current New York City Mayor Eric Adams, all accused of sexual abuse from incidents years prior.
It's absolutely not true. I would never do anything to harm anyone.
All the men denying the allegations against them in statements. Those new claims of old offenses only made possible by the New York Adult Survivors Act, signed by Governor Kathy Hochul last year, which expired at midnight, November 23rd, Thanksgiving.
What Governor Hochul in New York State did was say, you know what, just for a year, this will be the middle ground, so to speak, to allow these claims to come forward, but not open the barn door, so to speak, to allow all claims to come in forever.
The Adult Survivors Act opened a one-year window for victims of sexual abuse to file lawsuits in civil court against their abusers, regardless of when the alleged crimes took place.
Survivors have 1 year to take action.
It doesn't matter if it was your coach,
Your cab driver, your doctor.
But the law had further reach, bringing forth thousands of claims of abuse.
All right, there we go. So that's the gist of everything.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
Yeah. An avalanche, I think will be the appropriate word of lawsuits and things coming down the pike. So let's get some perspective on this. So I totally get the purpose of the 1 year window, right? Because a lot of different situations for women that unfortunately had experienced sexual assault by various public figures or powerful men. And a lot of them, unfortunately, were unable to seek justice legally or in regards to like criminally due to the expiration of statute of limitations. So they opened up this window where for a year, individuals had the ability to seek another form of punishment, retribution via, say, civil cases.
So these are all civil suits.
Yeah, all civil cases and civil lawsuits. So it appears, how's the phrase go? You know, the chickens are coming home to roost. That how it works? It appears that this, you know, and again, we don't know everybody's situation. Every you know, from Jamie, from the mayor to Diddy's, everybody's situation individualized. Generally speaking, it's very difficult for any woman to come out, especially when it's against a public figure. And we can't speak to who did what and who's guilty, who's not guilty. What I will say is that if it's a situation where you were acting inappropriately and you were able to kind of hide behind, you know, your money, your public figure, or whatever the profile, whatever the circumstances may be, then yeah, you know what? If the individual isn't able to get justice in a criminal sense, absolutely, I'm in favor that an individual should pay financially or however, you know, affects their profile or their celebrity or status. And it appears from all of these different cases that have been coming to light that there was a lot of individual, man, behaving badly. And, you know, just as we were talking kind of prior to getting on, I imagine there's a lot of people that are real nervous, or at least were nervous prior to, you know, the deadline in late November. So, yeah, there's got to be some form of accountability, right? If you were acting inappropriately and you were able to get away with it, you have to be, you have to atone. There has to be some accountability for what you did. So, yeah, I'm for this if the individuals were guilty of what they're being accused for.
See, all right, this is the first thing, right? I think the first thing is we got to talk about the purpose of the law, right? And from my point of view, the purpose of the law, I guess previously you had 1 year to report the crimes, right? Or was past the statute of limitations, right?
Depending on
1 year.
Depending on the situation, you might have.
Right. But we talking about like sex crimes. Right. So again, on its face, the problem with a law like that, right, is that you're putting a time period on somebody's disclosure, right, of their experience of sexual abuse. And it creates the perception that if you don't disclose, if you're not comfortable to disclose, whether to one of your family members, to police officers, to prosecutors within a year, then it reflects upon your credibility, i.e., the victim is not credible. That's absolutely not true, right? I answer this question in court all the time on the stand, right? It's absolutely not true, right? A victim has the right to disclose in their own time based on their own level of comfort. So whether it's a day later, whether it's 20 years later, it doesn't affect their experience of sexual abuse, right? What's opening, I think, so that is the purpose of the law, and that we have to have as a foundation, right? Now, this conversation obviously is sparking a lot of conversations and interest among people because I guess a lot of these lawsuits came in when around the tail end of when that deadline was coming in, right? So people are going to look and they're going to see this pattern of all of these prominent people. You got P. Diddy, Axl Rose, Adams, Cuomo, and so people are going to have a lot to say about it. Now, one thing I think that I was thinking about while we was talking is, remember, times have changed, right? It's 2023, right? And technology has allowed us, has been a great equalizer, right? So in 1990s, if you found a mouse in your chicken McNuggets, so what? You could bring it up to the counter and they could take it and throw it in the garbage and give you, and you lucky if you get a free order of fries. Now, if you got 3,000 followers, you can tweet at McDonald's, you can go live, and they'll be DMing you. You know what I'm saying? To settle it, right? And this is all types of businesses because they don't want the bad press, i.e. Sean Diddy Combs, right? So he gets that lawsuit, settles it a day later. So I think social media and the landscape that we're in is also resulting in a lot of the people feeling more empowered, right? Because they're like, people are like, I ruin your reputation, right? And for somebody who's an artist, a public figure, you got to think about it. Remember when they asked Kevin Hart a couple of days ago on the live stream about the Josh Giddey situation with the minor, the sexual abuse of the minor, the NBA player, and Kevin Hart was like, I don't want to talk about this. He was like, and I just want to remind everybody, we're sponsored by Chase. You know what I'm saying? And then he started making jokes, right? And there's a reason why, right? Because all of these people, like, they make money in their regular professions, but what they really want to do is sell products, right? So again, I think all of that is playing into, why you see people feeling more empowered to kind of come forward and make these disclosures. Now, I got a question for you. Is this the same law? Because Trump got found guilty of it. So is this the same law?
Yeah, Trump got hit earlier when the window opened. I think sometime or earlier this year. Yeah. So this is what I think, and I was you mentioned as far as individuals feeling empowered. I think this is actually lower, right? As far as the amount of people or the number or the cases that have been profiled, I feel like these are just reported ones. I feel like there was a whole group of cases that never came to light that were probably settled, right? Because because you probably had other powerful individuals who, like you said, did some things. Some things took place, whether it's the 90s, 2000s, whatever the case is, and they didn't want this to even make the play. So imagine Diddy, right? If he just would have already because I imagine Cassie and them came to him prior to it getting out, and they probably came to him saying, "Look, this is what we want, X, Y, and Z." And I imagine I'm not Diddy's people, but if say he would have already settled and gave him the 30 ahead of time, like, look, let's not even let this depart, because he settled less than 24 hours later.
Yeah.
So I imagine they came to him prior to, and I don't know what happened. Maybe he wavered, maybe he called their bluff or whatever the case is, but he settled real quick as soon as it hit the airways. I think that there were other cases, not saying with him, but with other people, that when this window opened, that they were just like, all right, cool. Like, I think this is just a reported individual.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that at all. You know what I mean?
Because like you said, just the mere mention of this could jeopardize your standing.
Bro, I was reading an article that said 18 companies cut ties with some like global marketing company that Diddy is a part of, or you're 18, right? You saw what happened with Russell Simmons in terms of, his company. And again, like, listen, I don't really have anything to say about anybody's innocence or guilt in any of these cases. They're going to be adjudicated in court. And again, it's one person's experience and word versus somebody else's. So I leave it there, right? Because I wasn't there. But what I will tell you is that the playing field in terms of that is being, I'm not even going to say it's level, right? Because what these people always are going to have is the advantage of power and influence, right? And if you doubt that for a minute, all you got to do is look at what that woman, the woman that eventually won the lawsuit against Trump, like what she had to kind of go through in terms of the hurdles, right? But the playing field is leveled a little bit. It's being leveled a little bit more, right? And I mean, I give that credit to, again, technology and all of those things. But it's not a conversation that's going away, bro, because I wasn't even, like, you had to tell me Jamie Foxx was included in that. Like, I didn't even know. I didn't know Axl Rose was included in that. We all know about Governor Cuomo, because he's been in the news a couple of times. But, other than that, I don't think it's going to be the last ones that are filed.
No, it's not. I mean, remember, this was just, I believe this was just in New York, right? So this is a situation where, again, imagine if other states follow suit. How, you know what I mean? Like, these are just the crimes that took place in New York, even though some of these individuals don't even live in New York. But this is where these crimes took place. So imagine if other states follow suit and they say, hey, well, you know what? We're going to give our state a 1-year window for people to file. It's going to be, again, that same word that I used earlier. It's going to be an avalanche of suits that are going to come through because, like you mentioned, with the power of social media, with the power of branding, with the power of all these products that these individuals are trying to sell, there's no longer individuals can kind of squash things, right? There's no longer where you can't keep a lid on someone as soon as they get on their phone and they start saying, hey, this is what took place, blah, 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 blah. You can't censor that. So it's less area, there's less shadows for a lot of these high profile individuals to hide in. And you know what? It's coming, it's like that second wave of individuals and guys and high profiles that were behaving badly. And now guess what? You don't have much room to kind of maneuver and use all these different influence that you were able to use to your advantage. So it's gonna.
The one thing, and again, I'm not the authority on this by any way. I have some experience in this field, but the one thing, like, I still kind of feel well, not kinda. I definitely feel bad for the victims because there's always going to be an imbalance, right? Because when we look at these crimes, there's usually no physical evidence. You know what I mean? There's always an imbalance in power, and I can't. And these people are going to hide behind lawyers. You know what I mean? And there's a reason why there's a high percentage of these cases that are never prosecuted, right? That's why these are all civil cases. And the part that's not being brought up, like when you read these articles, they say, it's a victim, it's a it's a victory for, victims of trauma, sexual assault victims. In a way it is, right? But think about it. Think about what I just said, right? Majority of these cases aren't prosecuted because there's no physical evidence, right? So we're only really even hearing about these cases because these are prominent people and you can win money from them, right? But most people in this country, that sexually assault people are not billionaires. They're just people, right? And it's been 10 years or a year or 20 years and they've just gotten away with it because it ain't no physical evidence, right? And my whole point is those victims gotta suffer in silence, right? Because they can go give their statements, go to the prosecutors, go to the detectives, and their best bet in a lot of cases, is to receive their emotional support through treatment, right? Because the law and the court system, there's a standard of evidence before they're going to prosecute and arrest somebody, and it's going to be a conviction, right? And in these cases, we just don't see that, So
that's what I meant. Like,
again, so it's like we got, I read, I take it with a grain of salt, even with these articles when I see like victory for sexual assault victims, right? Because it's only a small portion of them, right? The ones that have been violated by billionaires, you know what I mean? So that's not gonna help, the 6-year-old or the 9-year-old or the 31-year-old, but I get it. But it's again, I don't think it's gonna be the last one filed, and it's gonna be interesting to follow,
I think the other imbalance is that one, say you take down a Harvey Weinstein, right, due to these type of circumstances, there are others that just rise in its place.
Right.
There's always that's the other imbalance, that you have other individuals that are going to take their place, or it's just so many different things that were taking place, right? Like we keep hearing about all these other different high profile, and this person did it, and this person did it, and this person was involved in that, and that person was hanging with this, and it's like it's never ending. And again, it's just New York that did this for a year. It's just New York. Imagine if California, imagine if Florida, Texas, right? Some of these other different states that have, that would open up that if they were to allow individuals to file. But no, you're absolutely right. It's an imbalance, and I don't think this is the last that we've heard. So we shall see.
Yep, we'll check in on that.
All right, now we started out kind of just leading off the story with Diddy. So we're gonna kind of stay in the hip hop music realm. And over the past couple of weeks, also while we were away, was there was a lot of back and forth between rapper D1, who's also a politician and school teacher, and Rick Ross, Jim Jones, and Meek Mill for his D1 a few weeks ago had called out Rick Ross and Jim Jones and Meek about his issue or exception that he has regarding the influence of music and its impact on the community. So I'm gonna play this really quick.
Jim Jones, you could do better, brother. I love you too much. I love you too much to not be honest with you. Rick Ross, you could do better, brother. Meek Mill, you could do better, brother. I love you too much not to be honest with you. Are you the face of prison reform? Cause are you the face of prison reform? Or are you sitting here on your new song with Ross talking about getting somebody murked and shot at the red light? Which one is it, bro? Which one is it, bro? Cause I did a shoe giveaway in my city and gave out 1,300 pairs of your shoes. Because they said reform underneath them, and I love that you part.
I'll say, look, these technical difficulties. Hold on.
it with a major shoe company and you out here pushing prison reform. But now I got to sit here like, man, this man glorifying getting people killed as of a week ago. Like, what are you doing, bro? Lil Snoop really got killed. That broke your heart. You wear him around your neck. Why are you glorifying the same thing? When my best friend got killed, when Carl got killed, New Orleans know who I'm talking about. When Carl got killed, and I had to go to his funeral and read the eulogy and be part of the funeral, and I got back in I called Sway after the funeral, and I turned on my music, and I realized I'm listening to music that's glorifying the same stuff that just happened to my best friend. It gave me chills, and I needed that moment. That was my come to Jesus moment of like, D, you got to do something different, brother, because you have a taste for this poison, but you're attracted to the poison. And rap is great. The rap game, hip hop industry is great at cooking up some delicious poison. I don't call you out because I got a problem with you, man. Like, I wish we could go get lunch right now, me and any of them. I love you too much to not be honest with you.
There you go.
That's what it is, bro.
Yep.
And so if anybody feel bad about being called out, it's like let's talk. Let's talk. Let's talk about it and let's just figure out what we can do better. But at the end of the day, guess what's not changing? The word of God ain't changing.
Okay.
There's death and life in the power of the tongue, Proverbs 18 and 21. That's not changing. And trying with this foolish argument that it's just entertainment. This ain't real. How many more people got to die in the hood, man? How many people at the end of the day lives got to get ruined and poisoned, and how many rappers got to get killed for us to be like, come on, man? When it's hip hop, it's a whole culture, and it's implied that this is autobiographical and this is nonfiction tales that people are telling. How much does that have to happen? So don't hit me with that. People just don't want to confront the reality of this stuff.
All right, and of course, not to be outdone, we're gonna hear a little bit of Ricky's response to that. There we go.
It's something to be proud of.
Meek Mill, you could do better. Jim Jones, you could do better. Rick Raw, you could do better. I gotta see you do better. Wait. Little man, whoever you is, until you feed the kids where you from for 20 years straight. Don't question Rose. Wait. Until you buy 10,000 bikes, 10,000 trikes. Give all the young girls who pregnant Pampers for Christmas for 20 years straight. Don't question boss. You heard me, little man? Get that basket off your head so you could think clear, little man. You going viral for speaking on niggas' names, not because of your talent, not because of your gift. Go viral, player, off of your wisdom that you sharing. You speaking on that, yeah, Meek Mill, boy, you know how many niggas died this summer? They released self-destruction. It's niggas dying right now. It's gonna be niggas don't make it to see in the morning. Get that basket off your head, boy, and come together with real niggas around the world. So when your grandma need a kidney, nigga, since you want to go viral.
All right. But there you go, Jay. First and foremost, all right, look. Rick Ross's imitations are hilarious. Meek Mill, you gotta do better. Rick Ross, you gotta do better.
Yo.
He is hilarious, man. All right. Let's get some perspective. All right. So pretty much this back and forth that has been going on for the past few weeks pretty much is highlighting, D1's, or even more the historical argument in regards to the impact of, rap lyrics on the community, on children, on people. And what D1 was highlighting was the hypocrisy, right? Between, you have individuals like Meek Mill who talk about prison reform, and then in another lyric, they're talking about some type of gun violence or whatever the case may be. Jay, what was what's your take, not on just like their back and forth, but just on the argument, you know what I mean, overall, in regards to that, what D1 was bringing up?
Listen, it's a multifaceted discussion, right? I don't think there's one answer, and I don't think that's an easy way out. And the reason why I say that is because this is not a new conversation, right?
Right.
They both said it, articulated it reasonably well, right? We're talking about personal responsibility, right? What do you We're talking about somebody's feelings related to personal responsibility versus their job as an entertainer, right? And this can go all the way back to Charles Barkley saying, I ain't no role model, remember? And we had this debate over, even at that time, over you are NBA players, you're out there, you're idolized, right? Ball players, right? So where does the personal responsibility, where's the line? Some people will tell you, my responsibility is to my kids, right? And to raise them right and guide them and let them know that everything they see and hear in the movies, in the music, you can dance to it, you can be entertained, but it's entertainment and it stops there, right? And some people feel that if you are, especially if you're a prominent person of color, that you have a responsibility to the community. And let's acknowledge that second weight is a little bit heavier in our communities, right? We don't usually, as people from other cultures, don't necessarily bear that weight all the time of the art that they produce, right? And again, good or bad example, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not held responsible for all the people he kills in the movie, right? Tony Soprano can be celebrated for being a great actor, right? But again, so it comes down to whether you feel like rappers have that personal responsibility, right? And I'm not saying whether I feel one way or the other. Jim Jones' son is in college, right? So you need to debate whether his son is in college, right? He owns businesses. He provides for his family. So now, does he have a personal responsibility to kids in Harlem and around that look up to him, right? That's a discussion, right? But now, does D1 have the right, after he has his come to Jesus moment, to say what you doing is wrong? I had my moment, right? So now I'm gonna speak in judgment of everybody. I again, it's a multifaceted discussion. You know what I mean? Because it's ultimately going to come down to how much responsibility a person feels like they bear, So
there's a difference between glorifying and describing, right? Like you can describe in your lyrics what you grew up with, right? What was in your neighborhood, what was taking place, what you were exposed to, what you experienced. And that's a complete difference between glorifying and say, yeah, like I want y'all to go out and do this. I want y'all such and such, catch them at the light, whatever the case may be. You do have some rappers that do both, right? You do have some rap artists that do participate in glorifying it because it sells, right? And then you have other individuals that are merely describing the environment and the circumstances that they came up with. Two very different situations. And we have to keep in mind also that one, rap is not monolithic, right? Like on every album, you're going to have an individual, right? You can look at any track list of most popular rap artists. They're going to have a song that they're talking about where they came from, talking about how tough they are, whatever the case may be, what happens if they get into a conflict with somebody. They're also going to have a song that they're talking about a chick that they're trying to fall in love with or whatever case, right? They're going to have their rap and R&B ballad. And then later on in there, they're going to have a positive message song, right? Talking about uplifting, talking about whatever the case may be. And you're going to get that within an album, right, of one artist. Because just like the music, the rap artist is not, he's a multifaceted person like you mentioned. So there's not going to be as much consistency as, I guess, D1 as he wants. Right, you're going to be talking about different aspects of somebody's life. You're going to be talking about different aspects that's on the album. They're going to be different songs. So I don't know in regards to whatever culpability or responsibility to what extent each artist has, and depending on whatever their content is. I mean, that's a conversation to be debated. At the same time, again, there's a difference between glorifying and describing. And also, you have to keep in mind, like, you're holding people to a stature where they're not going to just rap about one particular item or thing all the way through.
Now, I want to push you a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think that line, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I think it's very blurred. Because I think especially when you talk about music, right? And the style of music, right? When you talk about glorifying, can sometimes is describing is glorifying. And but so my question to you was going to be, and I think we can blend movies and music because we got soundtracks that are legendary, and hip hop is inspired music, movies, and vice versa, right? American Gangster was a Jay-Z album, right? Wow. So do you think like Boys in the Hood, Minister Society are two of my favorite movies, right?
Yeah.
Are they telling the story or are they glorified?
I would say
I think they're both genius and they're both, but that's my opinion. But how would you make that distinction with that?
Look at that as in regards to more describing, for the reason that at the end of the movie, it's describing and it showcases this is what happens if you go down that road, right? Because we're talking about one entertainment purposes, but yeah, it's describing a coming of age to somebody that came to whatever type of neighborhood, how that neighborhood impacted him, his adventures or whatever the case is, the people he got involved with, and then you saw the end result, right? You saw the end result. So I will put that more in describing as opposed to, yeah, this is what's happening on the West Coast, right? Like if they were, that's why I don't put that in the category of glorifying. I will put that more describing, this is what happened to this individual in their path. And then we saw what happened at the end to him and his friends.
Well, you know what? I think you're absolutely right because, and it's probably a bad example for me because remember, like a movie can have an end, right? And the storyboard is supposed to have a lesson.
Right.
I guess a better example would be, right? Let's take Jay-Z's first album, right? He is definitely telling a story, and he's definitely telling his story in a lot of different ways at a lot of different periods. But there is no doubt we are both students of hip hop. We can look at Jay-Z's style alone, and he has a lot of sons. There's no way that he wasn't glorifying the lifestyle as he was telling the story. It's part of being a hustler is not being a humble hustler. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Like, Nas is labeled a humble hustler, and even that label is that braggadocious is being part of it. So that's why I'm wondering, and I'm not saying this is you, but I'm saying as we dissect this conversation, can we separate the story from, and is that essentially the problem, right?
Right. The glorifying comes in, I feel like, in place of like, if you're telling, this is what I did, but I also was rewarded with this, right? So that's where the glorifying aspect comes in. Yeah, I ran, I got 30 keys, blah, 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 ran across, hit I-95, blah, 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 right? And now I'm talking about, I got that Lex Bubba, right? I got that, whatever the case is. To me, that's glorifying because you're saying I went and did this, and this is how I came up off of it, right? Or I got that shiny new such and such, I got chicks, blah, 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 blah. So that, to me, is glorifying. And I know a lot of rap artists.
Yo, but who's gonna write a story about the day that the spot ain't pumping and nobody ain't coming, and you got $3 and you splitting chicken wings with your man? Like that's not a story that people are gonna be drawn to. Like, I'm playing, but you know what I mean.
Right. And so that's right. And that's why, again, I agree with D1 because he makes a valid point. At the same time, I don't like the manner and how he's getting it because, one, you're calling out 3 different rappers, right? And I understand why he's calling them out because he's using them as evidence to support his argument. At the same time, like, what do you, like, this is what rappers or rap artists are going to do. Like, they're not going to talk about whatever, you know what I mean? And if we look at it, look at the maturity aspect, right? Because he's at a place, and you mentioned it earlier, that he already had his insightful aha moment, right? Mm-hmm. You look at Jay-Z, he's at a place where he's making albums where he's talking about totally adult things, financial literacy, so on and so forth. Like, a rap artist has to kind of get to that point. Not every person is going to come out consciously in whatever the case is, unless that's their particular style. Like, he got to that moment. You're imposing, you know what I mean, your Christian rap or whatever the case, your ideas and your values onto 3 rappers or whoever he's addressing. And I don't kind of feel like that's the right manner and to go about it because you're imposing your thing, your values or your ideas on the people.
Yo, I was actually, you know what surprised me the most is that how old is he? Well, he graduated from college in 2008. So
Yeah,
maybe he's like 30, early 30s or something.
early 30s, yeah, early 30s, mid 30s, right?
But I'm a little surprised that he even picked them. And the reason why I say this is because, again, we're both students of hip hop, right? Listen, I don't have the time to listen to music as much as I have before, but I still have new artists that I listen to, and I'm still fairly in tune with some of the new music because some people send it to me sometimes, right? People in my family and my friends and this and that. My point is this: I'm surprised that he picked Rick Ross, Jim Jones, and Meek Mills because number one, they're not the people that have their thumb in their hands on hip hop culture, and two, on the continuum, right? Of if we really were talking about problems in the theme of rap lyrics, right? And glorifying, yo, Rick Ross, Meek Mills, and Jim Jones, like I've never heard them on a record name somebody that was alive. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
It's not.
And say they smoking them in a pack.
That wouldn't be my target.
I never seen them on live with another rapper making songs about people that's a lot. Yo, there are whole states, crews full of rappers. This is going on like now, like with this whole younger generation of rappers. He's still talking about Rick Ross. All you can really accuse Rick Ross, Meek Mills, and Jim Jones of doing is glorifying selling dope and gangbanging. And I'm not saying that that's a bad, but you know what I'm saying. That's been going on since the beginning of this genre of music, right? The next level that we've gotten to within the last 10 years, right, is actual people.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of like he's making that loose connection. He's like, yeah, because if another rapper died, right? But when you peel back the layers, if you really are in tune with hip hop and with the culture, it's the younger rappers that are getting killed because they going back and forth doing what I was just talking about, not because of that. You understand? So to me, I think he kind of missed his mark because it's kind of like he might as well included Lil Wayne and Drake in it too, and Snoop Dogg. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna name any of the younger ones, but you know what I'm talking about. We can go from Chicago to New York to Florida.
I'm naming no drill rappers.
Right. There we go. So I kind of think it's like he's kind of aiming at the wrong people because if you want to talk about like good cooking up delicious poison, like that's how they're dying. It's an indisputable fact. Like that's how they're getting shot and that's how they're dying. Like the debate he's having with Rick Ross and Meek Mills is the same debate that our parents were having in the 90s and in 2000 about us listening to people, glorifying dope dealers.
I believe he chose those particular, and again, they're elder statesmen we're talking about within rap, right? They've been around for long. I believe he chose those particular rappers, especially Meek Mill, because again, it supports his hypocrisy contradiction argument in that, oh, well, he has prison reform.
Reform, yeah.
Prison reform, and your music that's, you know what I mean, unflattering, or you're talking about other type of street activity. So that's why I feel like he was fixated on those particular gentlemen because they've done things in their community, and he's saying, hey, how can you talk about this over here and then talk about this over here? Which is it? So it supports his argument. You see what I mean?
Right.
So that's why, and it's also safer, right? It's a little safer. Not to say that those individuals, and I don't know Rick, Meek, or any of them.
Oh, you mean it's safer in life because the people I was talking about are going to react in a whole different
way. Right. Because they're elder statesmen. They're not to say that they won't, but they typically aren't gonna engage in a type of that particular street retaliation. The young gunners, totally different.
But that's why if anybody who's in tune with the culture, it's gonna seem off because number one, they're not moving the culture. They might be icons in their own state, in their own You know,
Right.
for legendary, they might have put out legendary music. They could still tour. You know, they're still personalities, but they're not moving the culture. They're not. 50 Cent and Rick Ross just got into it because of the sales, and 50 was trolling them. My whole point is, we could name 10 other rappers. You understand that that's going to fill a stadium way quicker than them, and are doing what we're talking about, right? Right. So, I just think I don't know, bro. Like I just think if that's the case, then and you really are trying to move the needle, then you should probably reach out another way, right? Because I really doubt that he thought that like that in response to his video that any of them was going to be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? We're going to follow you now. Like he kind of knew what response he was going to get. So Rick Ross's response was ridiculous, but it was expected. You know what I mean? Because Rick Ross is looking like, yo, you poking the bear, you know? So it was ridiculous, but it's expected.
It's a maturity aspect, right? I'm gonna leave it off this. It's a maturity aspect. You're in this place. This is where you are in regards to your maturity, your maturation, and your development of, okay, I realize the harm that my previous lyrics or rap lyrics are the impact that it's having on the community. And this is my approach that I'm going to do. Well, you have other individuals that aren't there yet.
Right.
And you're imposing your will or your theory and on them. I don't feel like that's the most appropriate and going to be the most effective manner to go about it. And I feel like, again, addressing it with those individuals, calling out their names is safer than calling out the other folks.
I mean, listen, he's taking the Charleston White approach in a nicer way. And I mean, good luck with that. I mean, you know how people are going to respond to that, right? Like, because they're going to protect how they eat, right? So, again, it has nothing to do with how I feel about the conversation, but, again, it's an interesting one, another one that's not going to end. It's not going nowhere. So, again, I understand his point, and I like some of his music. I think he's a good artist, all of that, but I think this was expected to unfold the way we saw it.
We'll see. We'll see how that continues to go back and forth. Jay, anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, bro, just, we'll see what's going on next week and check back in.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate everybody locking in and tuning in with us. Until next time, wishing everybody good mental health. I'll get at you, bro.
All right, bro.